Here's a story of how I flew on this plane to Canberra with this bum bag full of cash to pick up this Harley Davidson Street Bob. So I just rode 20 minutes to the hotel. I got saturated. I'm freezing. Alright, let's get dressed. Thermal pants, a singlet, tucked in, thermal top. The only part of me that I think is ill-equipped for today is my feet. All I have is socks and plastic bags. I'm just as nervous about it as you are. Jeans. Now I borrowed men's leathers from a man I never met, who by the way when he turned up was very hot, because I wanted to be able to layer underneath. Oh, hang on, I don't own any. Do they fit? No, not really, but guess what? A bike is going to be up in here. Okay, we're plaiting the hair, because if I don't, it will be a literal dreadlock when I get there. I'm an idiot. I brought the bike mount so I could GoPro. It's a full face helmet. I also brought a chesty mount, but I've got a fairing and T-bars. Great. Pyjamas in the wet bag and one pair of socks. Worst case scenario, I've got something to sleep in tonight that's dry. We plug in the heated jacket. Full bars, baby, full bar. Have heated glove liners and then gloves for over the top. Yeah, a jacket isn't fitting under that, maybe over, but not. The sweat dripping down in between my boobs. I've got the waterproof cover on my bag. It's not made for this bag. Will I lose it on the highway? Maybe. Is it the worst thing I've lost on a highway? No, a jerry can is full of petrol. So basically I have two options. I can ride 8 hours today, which could be fucking torture. That's not including stopping for food and petrol. And get it all done. Or I can ride 4 hours today and 4 hours tomorrow. And I have no time restraints, and so you would think that's the better option. However, it means that tomorrow I have to put all this wet gear back on. It took me hours last night to dry out my boots. So yeah, I'm leaning towards going back in one day, but I'm going to stop in Albury, have a late lunch, and decide then. So this bike is what we call an American club style bike, and basically it's set up for wheelies and stunts and stuff. And what happens is when you come down from a wheelie, it's a lot of impact. So instead of having these good shock absorbing engine mounts, we put on these like super hard, tough ones. Unfortunately, that means that the handlebars vibrate really hard. So it was a very uncomfortable ride. This bike is not designed for long distances at all. It is purpose built for a very specific application, and this is not it. This was a 750 kilometer bike ride, I think, which, spoiler alert, I did over 2 days. I have ridden 1,200 kilometers in a day fairly comfortably on my Harley Sportster. Right now, it's a week later and my fingers are still sore. I feel like I have arthritis from holding those bars. Holy shit. I have been on below empty for an hour. Kept waiting for it to run out and it just never did. And I somehow made it. I'm going to check how many litres this tank is. So I did Google how many litres my fuel tank is and compare it with how many litres I put in it at that Bowser. I worked out that my bike had about 1.1 litres remaining in the tank. And it was raining for most of that hour that I was winging it. So I would have been stuck on the side of the highway in the rain, which wouldn't be the first time. Quick summary of today. I was cold for a lot of it, but not all of it. The first hour wasn't too bad. I was actually vibing hard as fuck because I was like on a new bike and whatever. Found a certain speed in a certain gear, a speed that I won't name, that was comfortable and wasn't as bad on the handlebars, but my hands were still itchy and tingly the whole way. But today we've got an extra pair of pants. Things I learned from yesterday: put the heavy things in the bottom of the bag, not on the top. The heated stuff's going to run out of battery 2 hours in, nothing I can do about it. Let's review the heated stuff. So the heated jacket was Total Tools Australia's own brand of heated jacket. It was warm, but the heating pads are here and about the same height, I guess, on your back. And I just feel like that's not where I want to be warm. I want to be warm like around here, like my mid to lower back. Look, it works, but kind of in the wrong places. And it's hard to say how long the battery lasts because you don't really notice it fading off when you're doing 100 and something on the highway. But I would say that it only lasted about 2 hours. Now, I do understand that on a lower heat setting, it's supposed to last for longer. The heated glove liners I bought from Harley Heaven in Melbourne. The only problem was that they're glove liners, not gloves. So you have to wear gloves over the top. And it's really hard to ride a bike with 2 pairs of gloves on. My hands felt like they were open the whole time, and I think this is a lot of the reason that I have pain in my hands still. I think I would have been better off in like rigger's gloves or like leather gloves that didn't have a fleece lining as well. And for the last 2 hours of my ride, I just went without the glove liners and I just wore my winter gloves because I wanted that freedom back in my hands and the pain drastically reduced in my hands. The heated gloves were more effective than the heated jacket in that while I was riding I could feel that my hands were actually warm. However, the battery lasted even less time, I would say under 2 hours. Again, I had the heat setting up quite high. So on both products there was a high, a medium and a low heat setting. Oh, and I should mention that the glove liners were over $200 and the jacket I think was about 130-ish Australian dollars, so they weren't cheap. So this happened in the first 40 seconds of my ride. Also, can we talk about the fact that I was excited that I had the crash bars so I could put my feet on them on the highway? So then I filled up at a servo, and when I went to turn my bike back on, this was happening. Today I learned that roadside assistance companies don't really fuck with bikes. They won't do anything except for pump up tyres, top up fuel, or tow. So I'm now getting towed just to have my battery jump. Honestly, I'm more upset that they're going to take me further north. And I just want to get home, just south. A bunch of you tried to guess what was wrong with it and only one person got it right. So apparently on a tiny number of gas stations, the signal from the Bowser interferes with the signal between the fob and the bike. It only happens in Harley Davidsons and in Range Rovers, both of which I have. Very strange. So I just ignored the pre-alarm and pushed my bike away from the Bowser, and I moved it like 2 meters and it started. Oh, and I only figured this out because the tow truck driver rang ahead and said, "Hey, is it a Harley?" I said, "Yes, how did you know that, sir?" And he told me. Got it home in one piece, gave it a quick rinse so I could take it for a little burn without all that gear on and get a photo and crack a beer.